Beyond the Gates spoilers dare you to imagine what happens when two brilliantly driven women collide under the cover of evening starlight, and what unfolds from a single, electric encounter. Chelsea Hamilton arrives at Dr. Madison Montgomery's spacious urban loft shortly after sunset, the city's skyline shimmering through floor-to-ceiling windows. The loft is minimalist chic soft gray walls, modular seating, and artful splashes of color in abstract canvases designed by Madison herself, an acclaimed architect-turned-clinician who believes that thoughtful spaces heal the soul. Chelsea, an accomplished investigative journalist with a penchant for bold questions and fearless reporting, carries an energy of vivacity and spontaneity. She strides into Madison's domain with a mixture of confidence and curiosity, her heart beating to the rhythm of anticipation. Tonight is not just another date. It is the culmination of weeks of witty banter over coffee, lingering glances across conference rooms, and clandestine texts that made both their pulses quicken. From the moment their eyes met, there was an unspoken understanding that this evening would mark a turning point. Madison greets Chelsea with a warm, practiced smile that dances at the edges of her full lips, as if she is both thrilled and slightly apprehensive about what the night might bring. Chelsea returns the smile, her own excitement radiating in the flare of her jade-green eyes, framed by dark lashes that flutter with contained delight. They toast with flutes of crisp champagne, the bubbles rising like sparks around them, and for a moment, time seems suspended. Soft jazz fills the background, its smoky saxophone weaving through the air like a subtle invitation, and Madison offers Chelsea a curated plate of gourmet or Dio-Rusher version of a culinary welcome that melds exotic spices with delicate presentation. Chelsea savors each bite, impressed by Madison's attention to detail, and in turn, marvels at how effortlessly vulnerability and strength coexist in the woman before her. The conversation flows easily, alternating between light teasing and more intimate disclosures. Madison recounts a recent case involving an abused child whose resilience inspired her to create a community outreach program. Chelsea listens with rapt attention, her empathy shining through as she offers thoughtful questions about the program's funding and sustainability. Chelsea, in turn, shares a story from her latest Paisea high-stakes exposé on corporate malfeasance that nearly cost her a close friendship. Madison's eyes soften as she reaches across the sleek glass table to touch Chelsea's hand, a gesture both brave and tender. The spark ignites in that moment, bridging professionalism and desire in a single, breathless instant. Their hands linger, fingers interlacing almost instinctively, and the room's ambient light seems to pulse in response to the current flowing between them. The first kiss is gentle, exploratory, a soft brush of lips that sends tremors through Chelsea's spine and leaves Madison's breath slightly unsteady. Then, as if a dam breaks, the kiss deepens, urgency and passion colliding in fervent heat. Chelsea feels the smooth warmth of Madison's skin beneath her fingertips, their bodies drawing closer. The distant city noises fade into a formless hum as they become attuned only to each other's rhythm. Clothing becomes an afterthought. It slips away with whispered apologies and delighted laughter, falling in neat piles on the plush rug below. Madison's loft, adorned with clean lines and curated art, transforms into their shared sanctuary, every cushion and corner now imbued with the memory of their fervent embrace. Their union is tender yet bold, soft gasps and whispered names echoing against the loft's high ceilings, the gentle clinking of glassware providing a staccato soundtrack to their exploration. As the hours pass in blissful abandon, Chelsea and Madison move with intuitive synchrony, discovering new facets of pleasure and connection. Chelsea's investigative mind marvels at the way Madison's thoughtful touch maps desire onto her skin, and Madison's clinical precision revels in the spontaneity and fervor Chelsea brings to every move. They share more than physical intimacy. They share laughter in the quiet lull between waves of passion, stories of childhood dreams and disappointments, and whispered hopes for the future. When exhaustion finally draws them into a serene embrace, they lie tangled among soft pillows, foreheads pressed together, hearts still racing. In the muted aftermath, Chelsea dares to murmur, "What if we took this further? What if we combined our worlds, your healing work and my storytelling to craft something transformative?" Madison's response is a soft smile, her eyes reflecting both warmth and resolve. Maybe we don't have to imagine it too could already be starting. Meanwhile, in another part of town, Catherine "Cat" Thomas sits in the dimly lit corner of a trendy wine bar, swirling ruby-red Pinot in a slender glass. Cat, Chelsea's cousin and lifelong confidant, watches Tom Navarro from across the room. Tom, a mutual friend who has weathered friendship's ebbs and flows with Cat since college, leans forward as he recounts a recent culinary trip to Tuscany. His deep laughter resonates against the exposed brick walls. Cat finds herself hanging on every word, captivated not only by Tom's charismatic storytelling, but by an unexpected flutter in her chest. For years, they have been steadfast friends, partners in late-night study sessions, co-conspirators in harmless pranks, and sounding boards for heartaches and triumphs. Yet tonight, as Tom's hand brushes hers on the table, Cat feels a jolt of electricity she can no longer ignore. Every anecdote Tom shares seems tinged with an underlying affection, a tenderness Cat has only just begun to recognize. The way he tilts his head, the soft vulnerability in his voice when he describes the rolling vineyards, and the subtle concern in his gaze when Cat mentions her looming job change, all of it converges in a moment of clarity. Cat realizes that the line between friendship and something more has blurred, leaving behind a possibility she never dared to imagine. Tom raises his glass in a playful salute, and Cat returns the gesture with a trembling smile, both acknowledging the unspoken shift between them. As they lean closer, sharing secrets and laughter, the barriers of platonic history seem to melt away, replaced by a magnetic pull neither can and perhaps neither wants to resist. Back at the loft, Chelsea and Madison lie entwined, dawn's first light spilling through the windows. The city awakens beneath them, but inside, time feels suspended. Around them, moments from the night drift like dream fragments, Madison's soft moans echoing against Chelsea's ear, Chelsea's whispered praises warming Madison's neck, the still warm champagne glass perched on the bedside table. They trace lines of affection across each other's skin, contemplating the leap they have already taken. Chelsea presses a gentle kiss to Madison's collarbone and murmurs, "Let's take that next step. Let's move in together." Madison responds with a firm nod, her heart pounding not with fear but with anticipation of what they will build, a shared life where passion and purpose intertwine. Yet neither Chelsea nor Madison speaks of endings or resolutions. Instead, they revel in the burgeoning promise of a life that unfolds beyond the gates of hesitation, beyond the confines of their past certainties. Their story, like the morning light, is just beginning to cast its first rays across the horizon, illuminating new possibilities. Meanwhile, Cat and Tom linger at the bar, the glow of street lamps painting gentle patterns on their faces, both on the cusp of charting a course neither could have foreseen. In the world of Beyond the Gate spoilers, doors have swung wide open, inviting, daring, and irresistible. And though the final destination remains undisclosed, the journey ahead brims with uncharted longing, fierce devotion, and the promise that once you step beyond the gates, nothing will ever be the same again. Dawn light filters softly through the loft's expansive windows, revealing boxes half unpacked and the faint scent of chamomile tea lingering in the kitchen. Chelsea rises first, careful not to stir Madison, whose breathing remains steady in the silent cocoon of sleep. She pads over to the window, tracing the city's awakening skyline with her fingertips pressed to the cool glass. As she watches delivery trucks rumble down cobblestone streets and office lights flicker to life, she reflects on how swiftly their world has transformed. Less than 24 hours ago, their relationship was sweet tension and stolen kisses. Now, It has become living realish, a shared life waiting to be built from these unpacked boxes and quiet mornings. By mid-morning, the loft is a hive of productivity as Madison and Chelsea unpack art prints, books, and the odd quirky souvenir each has collected over years of travel. Madison unboxes carefully labeled architectural models, miniature reconstructions of community centers she's designed, while Chelsea arranges stacks of fashion magazines, travel guides, and notebooks filled with interview questions and half-finished drafts. Their movements glide around each other with ease, an unwritten choreography born of familiarity blossoming overnight. Chelsea pauses to read Madison's notations on a blueprint sensory garden for PTSD patients. She murmurs with or reminding Madison of the compassion underpinning her precision. Madison responds by gently brushing a lock of hair from Chelsea's face, her eyes alight with admiration for the way Chelsea's reporting has given voice to the voiceless. As their morning unfolds, they begin sketching out a collaborative project that neither had dared to voice until now, a multimedia feature exploring the intersection of healing spaces and storytelling. Madison imagines several pop-up healing pods, portable installations where survivors of trauma can step inside to experience mindfulness exercises, guided by Chelsea's recorded narratives of resilience. Chelsea, in turn, envisions an interactive long-form article, blending video snippets of Madison's architectural process with written profiles of individuals whose lives were transformed by safe, supportive environments. They spend hours at the dining table-turned-desk, whiteboards scribbled with flowcharts and budgets, laptops open to grant proposals and draft interview questions. By late afternoon, they break for tea, settling onto a plush rug strewn with cushions. Madison brews a pot of lavender ginger blend, and Chelsea brings out a plate of almond biscotti. Over tea, they exchange stories of earlier struggles, Madison's battle to be taken seriously in male-dominated boardrooms, Chelsea's near-burnout covering war zones before discovering the healing power of human interest storytelling. Each revelation deepens their bond. Vulnerability becomes the bedrock of trust, and trust sparks creativity neither could conjure alone. Madison traces the rim of her teacup and smiles. This project isn't just work, it feels like an extension of everything I've ever wanted to do. Chelsea nods, her eyes soft, and it feels like we're writing the next chapter together. Meanwhile, across town, Kat Thomas enters the offices of the nonprofit where she has been consulting, her heart still fluttering from the evening she and Tom Navarro spent under the glow of street lamps. The freshly signed contract on her desk is a reminder that her career is poised for a leap, spearheading a campaign to promote arts education in underserved communities. Yet, as she sets to work, a text from Tom appears. "Coffee later?" She pauses, thumb hovering over the send button for her affirmative reply, and allows herself a private grin. Tom's face comes to mind, his warm laugh, that moment when his fingers brushed hers, and she realizes that the world of professional ambition has just become infinitely more intimate. Tom, on his side, arrives at a local cafe with a carefully chosen report in hand, funding projections for Kat's campaign. He hopes to impress her not just with his organizational skills, but with genuine support for her dreams. When she slides into the booth across from him, they exchange a lingering smile that feels like the punctuation to an unspoken promise. Their conversation flows between budget lines and paint-splattered after-school programs, but beneath the numbers and logistics, there is an undercurrent of something deeper: shared enthusiasm, mutual respect, and the thrilling uncertainty of a relationship in bloom. As they lean across the table to review a spreadsheet, their elbows touch, sending a spark that neither can deny. Back at the loft, evening brings purposefully curated playlists and the clink of takeout containers, Thai noodles, and crispy spring rolls as Madison and Chelsea shift from project planning to casual domesticity. Madison hums an old jazz standard while Chelsea flips through a dog-eared novel, her legs draped across Madison's lap. The comfort of the evening is a stark contrast to the intensity of their first night together, yet it is every bit as precious an affirmation that passion can be both fiery and serene. Between mouthfuls of pad thai, Chelsea mentions an upcoming whistleblower interview she's lined up for her magazine, a high-ranking executive poised to expose environmental violations by a multinational corporation. Her tone becomes serious as she describes the stakes, potential threats to her safety, the moral imperative of the story, and the possibility that powerful forces may seek to silence her. Madison's brow furrows with concern. As a medical practitioner bound by confidentiality and ethics, she is acutely aware of how public scrutiny can upend lives. Yet, she also respects Chelsea's calling. "I'll stand by you," she says firmly, her hand covering Chelsea's. "We'll make sure you have protection." In that moment, the boundary between personal and professional blurs. They talk through contingency plans, safe meeting locations, encrypted messaging apps, and the discreet hiring of a security consultant. The discussion is intense, but it galvanizes both of them. They are no longer two individuals precariously balanced on the edge of something new. They are partners ready to confront challenges together. At the same time, Kat and Tom face their own test when Kat's past collaborator, a former mentor, questions her accelerated role in the nonprofit. He insinuates that her relationship with Toma board members' nephew might compromise her objectivity. Kat's defenses rise. She knows her work ethic and vision are beyond reproach, yet she can't shake the sting of doubt. That evening, she calls Tom, voice quivering between frustration and hurt, and he listens with unwavering support, reassuring her that her qualifications stand on their own merit. He offers to draft a formal statement clarifying boundaries, and together they plan to address the board transparently. Their voices soften by the call's end, and despite the tension, they feel closer, united by a shared commitment to integrity and to each other. As the week progresses, Chelsea's exposé moves into high gear. She travels to meet her whistleblower in a discreet rural setting, and Madison accompanies her as a supportive presence. Under a canopy of oak trees, Chelsea records the executive's testimony, the hush of nature juxtaposed with the thunder of impending revelations. Madison watches Chelsea's professional prowess in action, her calm questions, empathetic tone, and incisive follow-up, and her heart swells with admiration. After the interview, as dusk settles, they drive home in companionable silence, radio playing soft indie ballads. At the loft, they debrief over herbal tea, mapping out the article's narrative arc and considering how to integrate architectural metaphors that resonate with Chelsea's words on moral foundations. Parallel to that, Kat and Tom host a small gathering at the nonprofit's community center. Local artists, educators, and philanthropists congregate to preview the arts campaign's initial plan. Kat stands before the room, her presentation polished and passionate, while Tom, quietly observing, feels pride bloom in his chest. Afterward, guests mingle, praising Kat's vision. A seasoned donor approaches Tom to commend her leadership, acknowledging that while his influence brought Kat into the role, her competence is what will sustain it. Relief floods through Kat, and she finds Tom in the courtyard, pulling him into a tight embrace. Under the soft glow of string lights, they share a triumphant kiss, the culmination of personal and professional victories intertwining seamlessly. Yet the undercurrent of tension persists. Chelsea's article stirs controversy, the corporation threatens legal action, and anonymous menacing emails reach Madison's work address, veiled references to consequences for anyone associated with the journalist. Madison steels herself, recalling her training in crisis management, encrypting her clinic's data, notifying hospital security, and preparing a brief statement should matters escalate publicly. She confides in Chelsea late one night, her voice calm but eyes shaded with worry. Chelsea takes her hands, warmth radiating through their intertwined fingers. "We'll face it," she whispers. "Together." Their resolve forms a silent vow that no Forcino corporate behemoth, no whisper campaign can fracture the bond they've forged. Into this charged atmosphere comes an invitation, a high-profile charity gala at the renovated community center, where Madison's healing pod prototype will debut and Chelsea's article will be featured in the evening's program. The gala promises both celebration and scrutiny, cameras, donors, and media personalities all converging under one chandeliered roof. For Kat and Tom, it represents another milestone, Kat delivering the keynote speech on arts education and Tom orchestrating the event's logistics. The four of them, Chelsea, Madison, Kat, and Tom, gather beforehand at the loft, dressed impeccably, each buoyed by collective excitement and the knowledge that their intertwined paths are leading them toward a pivotal night. Chelsea adjusts Madison's lapel pin, grinning as she brushes leaving kisses along Madison's jawline. Kat smooths Tom's tie, their smiles echoing the unspoken anticipation pulsing through the room. As they descend into the hushed grandeur of the gala, the swirl of evening gowns and tuxedos creates a tapestry of elegance. Spotlights illuminate Madison's sculptural installation, a curved wooden pod etched with Chelsea's words of hope and resilience. Guests file inside one by one, murmuring appreciations. Chelsea stands to the side, watching as strangers find comfort in the space, their expressions softening in the dim interior glow. Nearby, Kat steps onto the stage, her voice ringing clear as she recounts stories of young artists finding their voices through paintbrush and pen. Tom watches her with quiet pride, heart swelling at every self-assured word she speaks. In the crowd, subtle tensions flicker. A sharply dressed lawyer representing the corporation eyes Chelsea and Madison from across the room. Rumors circulate that they might attempt to halt the gala. Yet as the evening unfolds, the atmosphere remains buoyant. Laughter, applause, and the clinking of champagne flutes fill the air. Chelsea slips away during a lull to confer with a supportive editor, who confirms that the article's publication will proceed despite legal threats. Madison, meanwhile, strides confidently among donors, fielding questions about scaling the healing pods to other cities. Their professional triumphs intertwine seamlessly with their personal joys, creating a tapestry richer than any single thread. As the gala reaches its crescendo, a fundraising total announced that far exceeds expectations. Chelsea and Madison, hand in hand, share a brief, triumphant glance. Kat and Tom find each other in the crowd, raising glasses in silent salute to the journey they've undertaken together. In that electric moment, it becomes clear that boundaries have shifted beyond all recognition. Friendship and romance, work and passion, risk and reward have fused into something new. The future stretches out before them like a vast, uncharted plain, waiting to be shaped by their combined vision and unbreakable bonds. Outside, on the terrace overlooking the city lights, Chelsea breathes in the cool night air. Madison steps close behind her, wrapping an arm around her waist. Kat and Tom join them moments later, forming a tight circle under the sky's starless canopy. They speak in hushed tones, speaking not of endings, but of beginnings. The expansion of the healing pods into schoolyards, Chelsea's series of follow-up features shining light on communities of resilience, Kat's outreach program bringing art materials to inner-city youth, and Tom's plan to open a collaborative co-working space for nonprofit innovators. Predictions and possibilities flutter between them like fireflies, an international conference, a documentary collaboration, perhaps even a family gathering in the loft complete with rescued dog and coffee-stained manuscripts. As the night deepens, the four stand united at the precipice of all that lies ahead. No conclusions are drawn, no chapters are sealed. Instead, they exhale together, the gentle harmony of shared breaths resonating with the promise of lives interwoven beyond anything they had dared imagine. And though the road forward will surely bring new challenges, legal showdowns, emotional reckonings, and unforeseen obstacles, they face it side by side, ready to leap without hesitation beyond the gates of every tomorrow.